Close your eyes and imagine. You're standing in the middle of a dense primeval swamp forest of ancient North America. Thick fog obscures your vision. Suddenly, the ground shakes slightly. It is not the ear-splitting roar of a bloodthirsty predator, but a series of low, resonant, and lingering sounds. It sounds like the blast of a giant trombone gliding through the fern canopies. That is the most characteristic sound, and also the greatest music of the late Cretaceous. Its owner is a creature weighing up to 3 tons, carrying a hollow, tube-shaped crest nearly 2 meters long on its head. Parasaurolophus. If you have ever watched Hollywood blockbusters, you are likely familiar with the sight of Parasaurolophus herds fleeing in panic from the blood-stained jaws of a T-Rex. That scene is grand and visually stunning, but it is a spectacular scientific deception. The truth is, Parasaurolophus and the Tyrannosaurus rex are like 2 parallel lines that never intersect in Earth's history. Parasaurolophus roamed the continent of Laramedia approximately 76 million years ago. Meanwhile, our ancestors have confirmed that the first T-Rex would not officially appear until at least 5 to 7 million years later. To put it in perspective, the time gap separating these 2 species is longer than our own entire evolutionary history, from apes to humans. By the time T-Rex began its reign, the bones of Parasaurolophus had long since fossilized deep underground. So, if T-Rex wasn't their nightmare, what kind of beast did this gentle giant have to face? And why would natural selection, which is extremely pragmatic and brutal, favor a bulky, seemingly cumbersome structure like the giant crest on their heads? Don't think of herbivorous dinosaurs as just mobile sacks of meat waiting to be slaughtered. Today, we will unpack every mystery regarding the anatomy, ecology, and survival tactics of Parasaurolophus. We will see how this creature turned its crest into a wireless broadcasting station, a top-tier herd communication network, and one of the most perfect survival machines nature ever created. Welcome to the real world of the Cretaceous. When mentioning Parasaurolophus, the first and most striking image that hits our eyes is certainly the giant crest pointing backward from the back of the head. For decades, this strange structure has puzzled paleontologists and spawned countless theories from the reasonable to the most insane. In the early 20th century, when the first skulls were unearthed, some scientists hypothesized that the crest was a snorkel. They imagined Parasaurolophus as a semi-aquatic creature, diving into swamps and poking its crest above the water to breathe, like an ancient submarine. Sounds very cinematic, right? But the harsh truth is, the tip of the crest is completely sealed, with no openings for air to enter from the top. A second hypothesis suggested it was a type of weapon for headbutting, or a tool to push through branches while running in dense forests. But when scientists scanned the bone structure, they realized the bone layers of this crest were incredibly fragile. If used to headbutt a Gorgosaurus or even a tree trunk, the crest would shatter instantly. Nature would never waste calcium and energy to create a weapon that was both cumbersome and useless. So if it wasn't a snorkel and wasn't a weapon, what was it? To find the answer, we must look inside. If you cut a cross-section of a Parasaurolophus skull, you will see that the crest is not solid at all. It contains a system of complex hollow tubes connected directly to the animal's nostrils. When Parasaurolophus inhales, the air does not go straight down to the lungs. Instead, it passes through the nostrils, runs along a pair of long tubes to the very tip of the crest, performs a spectacular U-turn, and then runs back down through another pair of tubes to enter the trachea. In adult males, the total distance the air travels within this crest can be over 2.5 meters long. At this point, if you are someone knowledgeable about musical instruments, you might have recognized something familiar. That's right. The skull of Parasaurolophus functions exactly like a giant trombone of nature. The hollow chamber inside the crest acts as a perfect resonance chamber. But how do we know for sure what sounds they emitted when these animals vanished from Earth tens of millions of years ago? This is where modern science comes in. In 1997, a group of scientists at the New Mexico Museum of Natural History and Sandia National Laboratories did something unprecedented. They placed a nearly perfectly preserved Parasaurolophus skull into a medical CT scanner. From thousands of 3D slices, they accurately reconstructed the internal geometry of the crest, then fed this data into supercomputers specialized in simulating aerodynamics and acoustics. The results obtained shook the scientific community. When computer simulations pushed air through this virtual trumpet, it emitted a range of very low-frequency sounds, deep and resonant. Why low-frequency sounds? This was not an accident, but a masterpiece of evolution. In the Cretaceous jungle environment with countless ferns, giant conifer trunks, and dense air humidity, high-pitched sounds would be scattered and absorbed immediately. Only low-frequency sound waves, even infrasound, have the ability to penetrate dense vegetation and travel for miles. Today, elephants and cassowaries also use this same low-frequency sound mechanism to communicate through forests. That was the internet of the Cretaceous, a perfect wireless communication network. By changing the airflow, Parasaurolophus could create various acoustic vocabularies. A low, long bellow could be a call for the herd to gather. A short, rhythmic sound could be an alarm. A predator is approaching. In the dark or amidst dense foliage, keen hearing and the sound amplifier on their heads help them compensate for their weak vision in the deep forest. But sound wasn't the only function. The crest was also a visual billboard, visual display. Based on collected fossils, paleontologists noticed very clear sexual dimorphism in this species. Juveniles only had a small bump on their heads. Females had shorter, more curved crests, while adult males possessed the longest, most magnificent crests. Although fossilized bones cannot preserve color, scientists have proposed a very well-founded hypothesis. The male's crest was likely covered in a keratin layer and was extremely colorful, similar to the beak of a toucan or the crests of modern birds. During mating season, a male with a larger, more vibrant crest that emitted further-reaching sounds would be the clearest evidence of healthy genes and abundant nutrition, thereby gaining the privilege of continuing the lineage. Additionally, there was once a hypothesis that the crest contained many blood vessels to help regulate body temperature, cooling the brain under the heat of the Cretaceous, or helping to increase the surface area for the sense of smell. However, current scientific evidence shows that their scent-receiving tissue was actually only located at the base near the nose, not extending to the top of the crest. Therefore, the functions of acoustic communication and visual recognition remain the two core elements with the highest scientific consensus to explain the existence of this grand structure. Thus, Parasaurolophus was not just a walking creature, but also a musician, a genius acoustic engineer. But to have enough energy to operate a massive 3-ton body, continuously blow trumpet calls for miles, and flee from the claws of enemies, they needed a massive source of fuel. and nature equipped them with a plant-crushing machine no less fearsome than the teeth of a T-Rex. How did that machine work? We will decode it right now. To maintain a massive body weighing up to 3 tons and continuously operate the complex sound system we just mentioned, Parasaurolophus needed a massive source of energy. And nature equipped them with a mechanical digestion machine so sophisticated that even the most modern industrial milling machines of humans would have to admit defeat. Welcome to Part 2, the great plant grinding machine of the Cretaceous. When hearing the name hadrosaur, the first image that appears in many people's minds is probably a creature with a funny, flat and soft bill like Donald Duck. But that is a disastrous misunderstanding. Unlike the soft mud-filtering beak of today's ducks, the front beak of Parasaurolophus was an extremely hard mass of keratin, with no teeth and edges as sharp as a knife. Imagine it operating like a high-capacity natural lawnmower. Moving through dense fern thickets or conifer branches, this horny beak would snap and strip everything in its path with just a decisive jerk of the head. But the most interesting part does not lie in the beak, but deep inside the oral cavity. Most reptiles, including carnivorous dinosaurs like the T-Rex or modern-day crocodiles, do not know how to chew. Their jaw joints only allow for opening and closing along a single vertical axis. They bite, tear, and swallow whole. Digestion depends largely on stomach acid. But Parasaurolophus and its duck-billed relatives broke this rule. They were among the few dinosaurs that truly knew how to chew, and they did so in a bizarre manner that no modern mammal possesses. This mechanism is known by scientists as pleurokinesis, pleural mobility, or simply understood as a flexible jaw joint. The skull of Parasaurolophus was not a rigid block of bone. It was composed of several jointed bones that could slide against each other. When the animal closed its mouth, the lower jaw pushed firmly upward. Instead of just meeting, this thrust caused the bones on both sides of the upper jaw to be compressed and slide outward. Imagine it like the operating principle of a pair of pliers or sliding gear system. This diagonal shift created immense friction, grinding rough leaves, tough branches, or even bark into a paste before it was swallowed. And to withstand this incredible friction day after day without wearing down to the pulp, Parasaurolophus possessed a secret weapon, a dental battery. Hidden behind thick, fleshy cheeks, which kept food from falling out while chewing, was a unique dental structure. They did not have just a few dozen teeth like humans do. Each side of the Parasaurolophus jaw contained a cluster of teeth packed tightly together in a diamond pattern, arranged in multiple vertical and horizontal rows. An adult could have hundreds of active teeth in its mouth at once, with thousands more waiting in reserve beneath the gums. This system functioned exactly like an endless ammunition belt. The chewing surface was a rough plane created by the combination of hard enamel on the outside and softer dentin on the inside. During chewing, this difference in hardness created sharp, self-sharpening ridges. As the top surface wore down or fell out, a replacement tooth from below would immediately be pushed up to take its place. Thus, the process of tooth growth and replacement continued throughout the animal's life. Why did they need such a heavy-duty grinding machine? The answer lies in the Cretaceous menu. If you're imagining a herd of Parasaurolophus leisurely grazing on lush green meadows, I must correct you. Although recent fossil evidence suggests grass began appearing in the late Cretaceous, it was very rare and did not form vast grasslands. The primary diet of Parasaurolophus consisted of extremely coarse, tough, fibrous, and hard-to-digest vegetation. Conifers, cycads, ferns, pine seeds, and fallen twigs. Fossilized droppings, coprolites, of duck-billed species even show that they ate rotting wood containing fungi to supplement their protein, to transform that pile of tough plant matter into fat and muscle. This chewing machine had to run almost non-stop. An adult Parasaurolophus might spend the majority of its day with its head down, grazing and chewing. But in the wild, the moment you lower your head and lose yourself in a meal is exactly when you are most vulnerable. With a giant, slow body while feeding, how did these creatures survive while surrounded by bloodthirsty predators lurking in the foliage? Their real secret to survival lay not just in their anatomy, but in a networked security system and legs that could flexibly switch modes. We will decode this ultimate survival strategy in the next section. When you are a 3-ton creature with a massive stomach, spending most of your day with your face to the ground, chewing tough twigs, you are a perfect mobile target. In the wild, the moment you are most absorbed in your meal and off guard is exactly when death comes calling. So how did Parasaurolophus survive and even thrive in an ecosystem teeming with the greatest killing machines in Earth's history? The answer lies in legs capable of shifting gears, social evolution, and a superior herd security network. First, let's set the scene. Let's turn back the clock 76 million years and step onto a foreign land called Laramedia. During the late Cretaceous, Earth was experiencing an extreme greenhouse phase. Unprecedented sea level rises split the North American continent with a giant inland sea known as the Western Interior Seaway. The narrow strip of land stretching from Alaska down to Mexico, located to the west of this body of water, is Laramedia. Contrary to the arid deserts often seen in movies, Laramedia was a lush, stifling, hot and humid coastal strip interspersed with giant tropical swamp forests and conifer canopies that obscured the sky. This was the kingdom of Parasaurolophus, a paradise for plants. But richness always came with deadly risks. Dense forests, tangled vegetation, and thick fog rising from the swamps meant that visibility was severely limited. In this environment, an enemy could be lurking just 10 steps away from you without your knowledge. And the enemy here, as we debunked the myth in the introduction, was not the T-Rex. The real nightmare of Parasaurolophus was named Gorgosaurus and Daspletosaurus. These were two notorious hunters belonging to the Tyrannosaur family, Tyrannosauridae, dominating North America millions of years before the T-Rex. They had a very clear division of labor. Gorgosaurus was slenderer and more agile, with long legs perfectly designed for high-speed chases in open spaces. Meanwhile, Daspletosaurus was large with rippling muscles, a stealthy lifestyle, and a bone-crushing bite force, specializing in launching fatal ambushes from the bushes. Facing these meat grinders, a solitary Parasaurolophus was almost certainly facing a death sentence. They did not have 1-meter-long horns to pierce through an enemy's belly like Triceratops. They also lacked a tank-like layer of bony armor and an armored club tail that could break a predator's legs like the Ankylosaurus. The skin of Parasaurolophus was relatively soft and thin, completely helpless against serrated teeth as long as a hand's span. Their only defensive weapons were social intelligence, overwhelming numbers, and a miraculous 2-in-1 movement system. Biomechanists call Parasaurolophus facultative bipedal animals. Based on the weight distribution of the massive pelvic structure, the length of the forelimbs compared to the hind limbs, and especially a series of fossilized trackways found, we can reconstruct how they moved. When leisurely grazing on conifer leaves or ferns, they would lower their center of gravity and move slowly on all four legs. Their front feet had a fairly special structure, like a hoof-like pad to support the front body. Walking on four legs helped them maximize energy conservation while supporting a massive abdomen acting as a giant biological fermentation vat, digesting dozens of kilograms of tough fiber day and night. But as soon as trouble was sensed, a biomechanical miracle would occur. They would immediately pull themselves upright, lifting their two forelimbs off the ground. The giant, sturdy tail with crisscrossing muscle bundles in the back would immediately straighten, acting as an excellent counterweight to balance the front body and the head with the heavy crest attached. In this bipedal posture, Parasaurolophus transformed into a sprinting machine. By focusing all their power into their muscular hind legs, they took great strides, reaching an estimated speed of up to 40 kilometers per hour, enough to leave predators behind in life-and-death situations. However, running fast becomes meaningless if you are ambushed unexpectedly. This is when the crest on the head and herd intelligence exert their ultimate power, creating a concept called multi-species ecological intelligence network. Paleontology cannot fossilize behavior, but from analyzing bone beds containing thousands of mixed bones of many herbivorous dinosaur species at the same death site, scientists have proposed a very compelling hypothesis. It is very likely that Parasaurolophus not only moved in herds of their own kind, numbering up to hundreds, but also actively joined herds with other dinosaur species such as the horned dinosaur Chasmosaurus or armored dinosaurs. Why was there this cooperation? Just look at the African savannas today. Herds of zebras with poor vision but extremely sensitive hearing often travel with herds of wildebeest that have excellent vision. In the Cretaceous world, large horned dinosaurs had solid armor and deadly weapons, but their vision was limited by their own giant neck frills, and their hearing was nothing special. Conversely, Parasaurolophus, though weak in terms of physical force, are the best mobile radar stations. They possessed extremely sensitive hearing with a complex cochlear structure, capable of catching the most subtle infrasonic vibrations of stalking footsteps. Let us imagine a cinematic scene like this. In the hazy, fog-thickened space of the Laramidia forest, a Daspletosaurus beast is silently lowering its center of gravity. Its dull skin color blends into the conifer trunks, stalking at the edge of a herd of herbivorous dinosaurs busy grazing. Visibility is nearly zero. The ruthless predator gapes its drooling jaws, preparing to pounce and crush the neck of a young horned dinosaur. But from a great distance, at the heart of the herd, an adult male Parasaurolophus on sentry duty suddenly pauses. Its sensitive ears have caught an unusual vibration frequency from a dry branch that just snapped under the feet of the Daspletosaurus. Immediately, it takes a deep breath, pushing a massive stream of air through the 2-meter-long U-shaped hollow tube system atop its head. A low, resonant alarm siren, rumbling like a peal of thunder, tears through the silent space. This sound carries infrasound waves, piercing through all foliage, traveling for miles, and vibrating the chests of all surrounding creatures. Instantly, hundreds of other crested heads lift up in unison, creating a jarring alarm chorus. The domino effect begins. The horned dinosaurs immediately form a protective circle around the young, pointing their sharp spears outward. The Parasaurolophus herd shifts to a bipedal stance. The ground trembles violently as a multi-thousand-ton legion flees at once, creating a scene of massive chaos amidst clouds of dust. In that ear-splitting commotion and noise, the Daspletosaurus is completely disoriented. Its greatest weapon, the element of surprise, has been stripped away. It can only growl in frustration, regretfully backing away as it watches the sumptuous feast slip from its grasp. Parasaurolophus do not fight with bloody violence. They fight with the sharpness of their senses, an acoustic intelligence network, and the collective strength of the crowd. They are the clearest, most magnificent proof that in the brutal workings of nature, sometimes the survivor and victor is not the one with the biggest, sharpest teeth, but the one with the most excellent communication and cooperation. But sadly, no matter how sophisticated and perfect an ecosystem is, no matter how excellent a survival machine might be, it cannot foresee the wrath from outer space. How did the legacy of these trumpet-bearing giants close in the final chapter of the dinosaur era? We will enter the most tragic and heroic moment of Earth's history right now. Together, we have witnessed Parasaurolophus rise to become a masterpiece of evolution, a perfect survival machine with the most sophisticated communication system in natural history. But there is a massive paradox in paleontology. If they were so excellent at survival and lived in such giant herds, why do we find so few traces of them today? Unlike their duck-billed cousins like Edmontosaurus or Maiasaura, species that left thousands, even tens of thousands of bones piled into massive dinosaur graveyards, Parasaurolophus is a true ghost. From the time scientist William Parkes accidentally discovered the first fossil skull in Alberta, Canada in 1920, until the 21st century, the number of complete specimens of this species found worldwide can be counted on one's fingers. Why could a creature so large and numerous vanish so mysteriously from the fossil record? Modern science offers a very convincing hypothesis called taphonomic bias. Other duck-billed species usually lived in floodplains downstream of large rivers. When they died, mud and silt quickly buried the carcasses, creating perfect conditions for fossilization. In contrast, Parasaurolophus likely chose a more secluded lifestyle. They preferred coniferous forests on higher, drier lands deep within the continent. When a Parasaurolophus individual fell, its carcass had no mud for protection. It was exposed to the scavenging of carrion eaters, weathered by wind, rain, and temperature, eventually crumbling and dissolving into dust before the bone structure could turn into stone. This harsh rarity makes every fragment of a Parasaurolophus skull excavated today a priceless treasure for humanity. And now, we will enter the final chapter of this great creature. When the extinction of dinosaurs is mentioned, our minds immediately paint a horrific scene of a giant, fiery asteroid crashing into Earth 66 million years ago. Clouds of ash and dust obscuring the sun, tsunamis sweeping across continents, and the desperate cries of all species. But if you have watched the video closely from the first minutes, you will realize a shocking truth. Parasaurolophus was not killed by the asteroid. Just as they never had a chance to face a T-Rex, Parasaurolophus went quietly extinct about 5 to 7 million years before the KPG disaster. Their disappearance was not a world-shattering cinematic explosion, but a sad melody fading away over time. The enemy that defeated this perfect survival machine did not carry bloodied claws, nor did it come from outer space. That enemy was the very transformation of the planet they relied upon. At the end of the Campanian stage of the Cretaceous period, Earth began to undergo a violent transformation. The massive western interior seaway, the source that created the lush, humid, and flooded climate of the Larimedia continent, began to drain and shrink due to plate tectonic activities. The global climate became colder, drier, and more harshly seasonal. the giant tropical swamp forests, which once nurtured them, began to wither, giving way to open plains and entirely new vegetation. This was the tragedy of evolutionary biology. Parasaurolophus was a creature born to be a specialist in the dense jungle. The low-frequency acoustic structure of its crest was perfectly designed to penetrate through thick canopies. The diet of this giant grinding machine was closely tied to the specific plant species of the swamps. When this ecosystem disappeared, that entire tailor-made survival system suddenly became a burden. Over-specialization, once the key to absolute success, now turned into an irreversible death sentence. They lost their communication advantage in vast open spaces, lost their familiar food sources, and were gradually replaced by more flexible new generations of herbivorous dinosaurs. Parasaurolophus herds gradually thinned out. There were no longer thousands of individuals together creating choruses that shook the ground. Those deep trumpeting sounds grew sparser, rising solitary amidst a space that was becoming cold, dry, and alien, before sinking into eternal silence beneath the geological layers of North America. About 7 million years after the last Parasaurolophus individual took its last breath, the 10-kilometer diameter Chicxulub asteroid tore through the sky, delivering the coup de grace that completely ended the era of the dinosaurs. If Parasaurolophus had lived until that fateful day, imagine how terribly their ultra-sensitive auditory system and resonant crest would have perceived this disaster. The infrasonic ripples from the impact traveling through the ground and the extreme changes in air pressure heralding a sweeping wall of fire would have been a painful experience beyond the endurance threshold of any nervous system. But nature, in a way, had humanely taken them away beforehand, leaving the desolate stage for their cousins to endure the greatest wrath of the universe. Parasaurolophus was never just a snack for predators. They were genius acoustic engineers, clear proof that you don't need sharp fangs or claws to rule. Communication ability and herd intelligence were the strongest survival shields. Now, a question for you. If Parasaurolophus had survived until the human era, would our ancestors have domesticated them and used their trumpets as a broadcasting station? Please comment right below. If you find the video helpful, don't forget to press like and subscribe to the channel. Goodbye and see you again.